In the final months of the Second World War, elite groups of Allied agents and commandos infiltrated Germany. Their top-secret missions: to hunt down Hitler's so-called wonder weapons and the scientists who built them.
We weren't looking for Lord Haw-Haw, we weren't looking for Himmler, we weren't looking for Hitler, we were looking for strictly people of intelligence interest.
As the Allies advanced into Northern Europe, there were fears that Hitler might retaliate in a final act of revenge. Intelligence reports suggested Nazi scientists were building weapons of mass destruction. But would Hitler dare to unleash them?
It was urgent, because if Hitler had the bomb, we'd all be speaking German today, probably.
In a prelude to the Cold War, the Americans and British began a secret race with the Russians to round up German scientists. The stakes could not have been higher. The winners could develop Hitler's wonder weapons to control the post-war world. June 6, 1944, D-Day. The greatest amphibious invasion in history. But the future of World War II still hung in the balance. Behind the scenes, Allied intelligence was anxious that Hitler might be plotting his revenge. 7 days after D-Day, the fears were confirmed. A strange object, traveling at 400 miles an hour, appeared in the skies over London. At first, it was thought to be some kind of plane. Only after it plummeted to Earth did they realize what this was. A flying bomb. Over the next 4 days, hundreds more rained down on London. One hit on June the 18th killed 121 people. This was the first of Hitler's vengeance weapons, better known as the V1. The Allies had nothing like this in their arsenal, and there seemed to be no way of stopping it. And if Hitler's scientists could create something like the V1, what other terrifying devices were they building?
Hitler was casting around for the weapon that would win the war. He thought it might be the V1. And they were doing a lot of highly exotic and important projects in those last few months of the war.
The Nazi leadership had always seen the importance of technology and invested huge amounts of money into rockets, aeroplanes, even motor racing. Consequently, German cars dominated racing in the 1930s. But Hitler was rewarded with many other scientific firsts. Perhaps the greatest and most dangerous was in atomic physics. Nuclear fission was first discovered in Germany. Some of the best German physicists were Jewish and were forced to flee the country by the Nazis. Most of them traveled to the United States, where they brought the alarming news that Germany might be working on an atom bomb. This warning prompted the Pentagon to launch a top-secret effort to build their own bomb, codenamed the Manhattan Project.
The whole project was built on fear. The Manhattan Project was actually built because we were afraid. And it would have, if the fear had become a reality, it would have destroyed the United States.
Robert Furman was working in the Pentagon when he was recruited to coordinate a secret mission going into Europe. The plan was to send in special agents to locate and shut down Hitler's atomic program as quickly as possible. There was one key target the agents had to find: the leading German physicist and head of the Nazi atomic bomb project, Werner Heisenberg. The mission would need elite agents on the ground to hunt for Heisenberg and the German bomb facility. Marty Previty was one of those secret agents.
When this photograph was published in 1947, they blocked out my face because I was a special agent of the Counterintelligence Corps and I was supposed to be incognito.
To give the agents license to operate wherever they wanted, they carried special passes with the highest security clearance.
Purpose of visit, investigate intelligence targets, remove documents, equipment, or personnel. This was my authorization to do whatever I needed to do, capture people or whatever.
These passes would later prove invaluable to allow them to travel beyond the Allied front lines. There was a further objective, just as important as the scientists. The Allies knew the Nazis had amassed thousands of tons of uranium, the essential ingredient in an atom bomb. Fearing they planned to use this in their own bomb, the Allies wanted to gather up Germany's extensive reserves of this scarce element. The Manhattan Project needed to stockpile uranium for their own bomb, so their special agents had orders to track down the Nazis' hidden hoard. The mission was given a code name, Alsos. The true meaning of the name was kept a closely guarded secret from nearly everyone, especially General Groves, head of the Manhattan Project.
But it was a good many years later that it was revealed that Alsos was Greek for a grove of trees. Now, I think General Groves would have shivered in his shirt if he had known it at the time, but we really named the mission after him.
As the Alsos agents prepared to go into Northern Europe, Britain was beginning to deal with the V1. New anti-aircraft batteries and barrage balloons intercepted the Vengeance weapons as they flew in. And Britain's fighter pilots, whose planes were faster and more agile, were also learning how to destroy the flying bomb. But the panic was by no means over. Just when it seemed the British had finally defeated the V1, German scientists were about to fire an even more terrifying Vengeance weapon at London. This is German test footage of the newest device in Hitler's secret arsenal, the V2 rocket. The V2 was a huge leap forward in the history of weaponry, according to military analyst Robert Hewson.
The significance of the V2 is that for the very first time, human engineering was able to launch a guided projectile that would travel several hundred miles and hit a point more or less where you had aimed it. This was a wonder weapon insofar as once you had a successful launch and the missile went in the right direction, you could not stop it.
A mixture of alcohol and liquid oxygen propelled the rocket 200 miles in less than 5 minutes. It carried a 1-ton warhead capable of flattening a city block. The real technological advance was the V2's guidance system. Gyroscopes controlled vanes in the exhaust, which steered the rocket towards its target. The Germans had successfully launched the world's first ballistic missile. Britain, America and Russia had nothing like this in their own armories, and they were all desperate to get their hands on the rocket, and the man who built it, Wernher von Braun.
Von Braun was one of a group of quite visionary scientists. People who had a dream of spaceflight. They were almost crazy people, because from the really primitive rocket technology that existed at the time, they were dreaming of voyages to the stars, and that's particularly true of von Braun.
Hitler wanted von Braun to test his rockets as weapons. Von Braun was so keen to support Hitler's plans that he not only joined the Nazi Party, but also became an honorary major in the SS. Konrad Dannenberg was one of von Braun's protégés in rocket propulsion. He was in his late 20s when he first met the legendary father of rocketry.
I was really impressed by him. He was not only a good technical person, a good engineer, he was also a good manager. And he always stressed that really the work we did